Okay, are you ready for this?
I think so.
I was already trying not to lose it, and we haven't even started.
Oh, no.
Today's deep dive is a little different.
Yeah.
It's not exactly polite, but it's one you hear everywhere, and it's more interesting than you might think.
Interesting and not polite.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
All right, brace yourself. We're talking about the word shit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep, that word.
Oh.
I know it's not exactly highbrow, but trust me, there's a whole linguistic world to unpack here.
Okay.
It's got history, it's got attitude,
Yeah.
and it's got more uses than a Swiss Army knife.
I have to admit, you've piqued my curiosity.
Good.
It's certainly a word that gets a reaction,
It does.
and I'm curious to see what we can uncover.
Okay,
Ah.
let's start with the most basic meaning,
Okay.
which, and I'm trying really hard to keep a straight face here, is, poop.
The elephant in the room, or perhaps the dung beetle in the garden?
Dung beetle in the garden.
Yes.
I love it.
I thought you would.
But seriously, the fact that this word for well waste has become such a linguistic workhorse is fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And its journey through time is just as fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
You can trace it back to Old English words like sight for dung
Wow.
and sight for diarrhea.
So this word has been around for a long time.
We're talking Proto-Germanic and Proto-Indo-European roots,
Okay.
all related to separation and excretion.
Not exactly dinner table conversation, but hey, that's language for you.
And you know what's funny?
What?
It's not just an English thing.
Really?
Scheisse in German,
Okay.
Scheit in Dutch.
Wow.
So many Germanic languages have a version of it.
So we're all connected by...
Well, it
that-
speaks to a shared human experience.
It does.
Albeit one we don't often discuss in polite company.
You're right about that.
Okay, but let's be honest. We don't always use it in its literal sense, do we?
True.
I mean, when was the last time you said, "Excuse me, I need to go take a shit"?
Hopefully never.
Yeah.
The beauty of this word is that it has transcended
It really has.
its humble origins to become something much, much more.
It's like it's gone from the toilet to the
It's penthouse.
penthouse suite of the English language.
It's an apt analogy.
Right?
Though I'm not sure I'd want to stay in that particular penthouse.
Me neither.
Okay, good.
But the point is, this word is everywhere.
Yeah.
We use it to describe stuff like, I've got so much shit to do today.
Which, let's be honest, doesn't actually tell us anything about what you're doing.
Exactly.
Just that you have a lot of it.
It's just this vague, all-encompassing term for things.
Yeah.
Like, this show is funny as shit.
Which, I might add, is a subjective statement.
Of course.
Though, I must confess, I am rather enjoying our current line of inquiry.
See?
Yeah.
Even you're getting into it. But it's not all fun and games, right?
Right.
Shit can also mean serious trouble.
Oh, yeah, like...
Deep shit.
Uh-huh.
Shitstorm.
And perhaps the most evocative of all?
Which is...
When the shit hits the fan.
Oh my God, that one gets me every time.
Why?
The imagery.
Yeah.
The chaos.
It perfectly encapsulates the feeling of a situation spiraling out of control.
It does.
A minute.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, bam.
Exactly.
Everything's gone to
Yeah, and it's not just about trouble in a literal sense.
Right.
It can also express displeasure, disappointment, even disgust.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this food tastes like shit.
Oh, don't remind me.
Oh, yeah.
I had the worst takeout the other day.
Oh, no.
It was truly indescribable.
Really?
Except with that one particular word.
You had to use that word.
I did.
Wow.
It's amazing how effective it can be.
It is.
Isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like when shit enters the picture.
Yeah. You know, things have gone seriously wrong.
That's right.
And the beauty of it is,
Yeah.
it can be both general and specific.
Oh, okay.
You can just say shit,
Uh-huh.
or for a more targeted critique, you can use piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
It's like a precise strike of negativity.
Precisely.
It's like a verbal laser beam of,
Like,
you know.
Exactly.
And let's not forget those wonderful little exclamations,
Like,
oh shit,
when do you say that?
for when you realize you've made a mistake,
Uh-huh.
or, oh shit,
When do you say that?
for when you drop your phone in the toilet.
Oh.
Although I sincerely hope that hasn't happened to you recently.
Don't worry, it's been a while.
Okay, good.
But you're right. It's like the universal language of, oops, I messed up.
Indeed.
And speaking of messing up, sometimes shit takes on a more...
Regressive tone, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, eat shit. Or you ain't shit. Oh, wow.
It's not exactly polite conversation,
Right?
but it definitely packs a punch.
It does.
It's a way of asserting dominance.
It is.
Even through vulgarity. The linguistic equivalent of a chest thump.
And then there's the ultimate boast.
Let me guess.
His shit don't stink.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, someone get this guy a mirror.
The irony is...
What is it?
Of course. That everyone's shit does indeed stink.
Of course.
It's the denial of that basic human reality.
Right.
That makes the phrase so absurdly arrogant.
It's true.
It's like, oh, honey, please. You and me both.
Wait,
We're all in this messy human experience together.
We are.
Speaking of messy,
Yeah.
have you noticed how sometimes shit can actually mean something good?
Now that is a fascinating twist.
I know, right?
Buddy.
Like, this band is the shit. Or you're the shit.
Right.
It's like a complete 180.
Yeah, it's almost like we've reclaimed the word.
Right.
Flipped it on its head and given it a whole new meaning.
It's like saying, yes, this word is usually associated with things that are bad.
Right.
But in this context,
Yeah.
it means something amazing.
I think it speaks to our desire to push boundaries,
It does.
to find humor and even affection in unexpected places.
And sometimes to just be a little bit naughty.
Muskrat.
But there's also a sense of camaraderie in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're all in on the joke.
Exactly.
It's like a secret code word for, this is awesome.
And that shared understanding, I think, is part of what makes language so powerful.
Okay, ready for another twist?
I think so.
Sometimes shit is just a stand-in for,
Yeah.
well, you know,
Yeah.
BS.
Oh, yes.
No shit, Sherlock.
Oh, yeah.
For when someone states the obvious or full of shit. For when someone is, shall we say, stretching the truth.
And who can forget? Are you shitting me?
Oh my God, I use that one all the time. Especially when I'm watching the news.
It's a remarkably versatile expression.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It can convey skepticism, disbelief, even amusement. Like what?
Come on, are you serious right now?
There's like,
And there's a certain playfulness to it.
there is.
A way of acknowledging the absurdity of the situation.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like we're saying, I see through your bullshit, but I'm gonna let you have it
Right.
because it's just too entertaining.
What a fascinating insight.
I know, right?
It seems shit can be both a weapon and a shield.
Interesting.
A way to call out nonsense
Yeah.
and also to deflect it.
It's like a linguistic ninja,
Oh,
able to strike from the shadows or blend in with the crowd.
an apt analogy.
Thank you.
Though I'm not sure I'd want to encounter a ninja armed with...
Well, neither would I.
Good.
But it's that unexpectedness
Yeah.
that makes shit so endlessly fascinating.
Indeed.
It's a word that keeps us on our toes.
It does.
Constantly challenging our expectations and forcing us to reevaluate its meaning
Yeah,
in every new context.
I think you're right.
So you ready to dive even deeper into this delightful pile of linguistic complexity?
I'm cautiously optimistic
Good.
and perhaps slightly terrified.
Perfect.
Oh.
That's the spirit.
Okay. It's amazing how shit can function as a verb, too.
Ooh, good point.
Not just what it is,
Yeah.
but what you do with it.
Like shoot the shit,
Right.
which I always thought was such a funny way to say have a chat.
It implies a certain casualness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we're not here to solve the world's problems. We're just...
Just flinging it around.
Precisely. And it can be used in a more directive way, too.
Yeah.
Like, get your shit together.
Like a verbal slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
But with, you know, that word.
It's certainly more impactful than saying, organize your belongings, isn't it?
Way more.
Yeah.
And it's not just about getting organized.
Right.
It's like get your life together.
Mm.
It's just being such a shit show.
Well, we can't forget about shit show and shitstorm.
Oh, right. Those two.
Those are real gems, too.
Yeah.
They paint such a vivid picture of chaos and disarray.
I know, right? It's like you can practically smell the...
I think we both know where that thought is going.
Okay, you're right.
And perhaps it's best we leave it there.
But seriously, the way shit can amplify things is incredible.
It really is.
Like shit scared or shit talking.
It adds a certain emphasis.
Like, I was so shit scared.
Let's just say you were very scared.
Very. Oh, here's a fun one.
Yeah.
Built like a brick shit house.
Okay.
Always thought that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Like strong and sturdy.
It is.
Right.
But it's interesting how the interpretation can vary depending on where you are.
Really?
In the English-speaking world, like in the U.S., it's often used to describe a woman
Okay.
with a, shall we say, curvaceous figure.
Okay.
Whereas in other countries,
Yeah.
it's more likely to be applied to a muscular man.
So even shit has regional dialects?
It does.
I have no idea.
Language is constantly evolving, and slang is no exception.
True.
It's a reminder that even the most seemingly simple words
Right.
can have layers of meaning and nuance.
You know what else is amazing?
What?
How shit can actually be used for good.
Now that's an interesting twist.
I'm talking about those sanitation campaigns in developing countries that use the word shit
Okay.
to break down taboos
Uh-huh.
and get people talking about hygiene.
It's a brilliant strategy.
Isn't it?
By using a word that's normally avoided,
Right.
they're forcing people to confront the issue head on.
It's like they're saying,
Uh-huh.
let's stop being so squeamish
Okay.
and talk about what really matters.
Exactly.
And it seems to be working.
Good.
It just goes to show that even a word as seemingly simple as shit can have a powerful impact, both positive and negative.
It's almost like a mirror to humanity,
Oh,
reflecting both our basest instincts
right.
and our highest aspirations.
That's a rather profound way of looking at it.
Is it?
I think you're right.
Okay.
Shit, in all its vulgarity and versatility, reveals a great deal about us,
It does.
both as individuals and as a society.
Absolutely.
Okay, but here's something I've always wondered. What about all the ways we try not to say shit?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you just can't drop the S-bomb right.
Right.
So then what?
Ah, yes, the wonderful world of euphemisms and minced oaths.
It's fascinating how we try to sanitize language,
I know.
even when we're talking about something so well-earthy.
Earthy is one way to put it.
But you're right, we've got a whole arsenal of alternatives.
We do.
Shoot,
Yeah.
shucks,
Yeah,
sugar crap. The list goes on.
it does.
It's like we're trying to find the cleanest way
Yeah.
to talk about something inherently not clean.
And each alternative has its own little flavor.
It does.
She feels a bit old-fashioned.
Yeah.
While crap is maybe a tad less offensive, they'll dance around the real word without actually saying it.
I love fudge.
Yeah,
It sounds so innocent.
it does.
It's like something you'd say in front of your grandma.
Indeed. And then there are the more creative ones,
That's-
like, oh, barnacles, or what the Dickens?
Those are good.
They almost feel whimsical, don't they?
They do.
Like we're trying to find a more polite way
yeah.
to express our displeasure.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I'm acknowledging that this situation is messed up. But I'm going to use a funny word to soften the blow.
Exactly. It's a fascinating balance
It is.
between honesty and social decorum.
Right.
We want to express ourselves authentically,
Yeah.
but we also don't want to offend anyone.
And sometimes you just got to go for the classic bleep.
The universal symbol of censored language.
It's almost become a language in itself.
It has, hasn't it?
Totally.
Yeah. It's like we all know exactly what's being hidden behind that bleep.
Right.
And that shared understanding
Yeah.
is part of what makes it so funny.
It's a testament to the power of language.
Yeah.
Even when it's being silenced.
It's like we can't say the word,
Right.
but we can still acknowledge its presence.
And in a way that makes it even more powerful.
So we've talked about the literal shit,
We have.
the metaphorical shit,
Yes.
the euphemisms for shit.
Well,
I think it's safe to say we've covered a lot of ground here.
we've certainly had a comprehensive exploration.
And we've had a lot of laughs along the way,
We have.
which is always a bonus.
It is.
I mean, who knew talking about shit could be so much fun?
It's been a delightful surprise.
It has.
And it just goes to show that language is full of surprises,
It is.
even in its most well-unrefined forms.
You know, even after all this,
Yeah.
I'm still amazed by how much this one little word can do.
What do you mean?
It's vulgar.
Uh-huh.
It's fun. It's powerful. It's thought-provoking. It's kind of amazing.
It truly is a linguistic chameleon.
Right.
It's able to adapt to any situation
Yeah.
and convey a wide range of emotions and ideas.
And I think that's what makes it so endlessly fascinating.
Why?
It's a reminder that language is a living, breathing thing,
It is.
constantly evolving and defying our attempts to control it.
Well said.
And sometimes that's a beautiful thing.
It is.
So there you have it.
That's it.
Our deep dive into the wonderful, weird, and often hilarious world of the word shit.
We've explored its origins,
Yeah.
its evolution, its
Yeah.
myriad meanings,
All right.
and even its surprising ability to inspire positive change.
We've laughed, we've learned,
Yeah.
and we've maybe even pushed the boundaries of good taste just a little bit.
Just a tad.
But hey, that's what makes life interesting, right?
Indeed. And that's what makes language so endlessly fascinating.
Until next time, folks.
Bye.
And remember, don't take shit too seriously.
Wise words to live by.